We are joined by Helene Thompson from the Scarborough Renaissance Festival here on KRLD. Helene, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate you having us on today.
There is something special about North Texas this time of year. You can always tell that it's spring because you got the bluebonnets and you got funky weather. It's also when Waxahachie transforms into a 16th century English village for the Renaissance Festival. Let's talk about this. Where did the whole notion of setting up Waxahachie for a Ren Fest come up?
Well, the Renaissance Festival world began in Southern California in the late 1970s, and several people that were involved in that festival just kind of started taking it elsewhere. One of our owners actually was from the Houston area, which is one of our sister events. And, most of them are independently owned, so we're each individual operating entities. But, we're an industry and we're a network of companies. And one of our owners was down in that area and just fell in love with the concept. And they had recently moved to the North Texas area and decided we want to build one of these things. And so he and his wife just started putting this thing together, and they found this plot of land in Waxahachie. And at that time, in the late 70s and early 80s, the growth from Dallas was actually moving south at that point. And so they decided, hey, this is going to be right in the middle of the mix, and this is going to be where we want to be. And so they took a bunch of pasture land and a grove of pecan trees and had the vision to lay out the site and start building it. And over the first 10 to 15 years, they planted over 200 trees on our festival site. Every year they would plant trees. And so over the course of the next 20, 30 years, all of a sudden now we've got this beautiful treed, site that people can wander through. And it started with, I think, 10 pecan trees, and the rest of it was just pasture land. But they just had this dream and this passion for what these people were doing, and to see the artisanship and to see the performances and the type of people that were involved. They just fell in love with it. And then they evolved it from there. They partnered with another couple that were out of Minnesota, and who had some familiarity as well with the Renaissance world. And so the four of them partnered up, and they have owned and operated the festival since 1981.
That is so cool. I love hearing about that history. And I know that there are tons of people who are listening right now who have great memories over the years of taking part in this festival. I mean, being able to celebrate all things Renaissance, it seems, for anyone who might be new to North Texas, it might seem a little different. But what can they expect when they really go out there? Because it is a full immersive experience.
It's a very different type of festival and a very different type of event than you're going to experience anywhere else in North Texas, that's for sure. But really the idea of it is to just step away from today's hustle and bustle and the craziness of it. Because when you come through our gates, we try very hard to create a 16th century village. And the whole concept behind the festival is that the village is throwing a party and a festival for King Henry VIII. And this year at our festival, that's in the year 1543. Well, he is just wed. In fact, it actually is taking place our second weekend. We're doing a royal wedding with our cast members. But he's just wed his sixth wife. And so the festival is excited about the king coming in, and they're throwing a festival. So that's the premise behind the festival. But when customers come into our village, it's just a whole nother world that things they're not used to seeing. I mean, we have 20 different stages, but the type of entertainment we have is not just some people on a stage that you're looking at. You actually get to interact with them. You can watch them, and many of our entertainers actually bring audience members up to the stage to be a part of the show. There are other shows that are totally audience interactive, such as our maypole ceremony every day. We have knighting ceremonies for the kids. We have a Renaissance dance lesson where you can actually learn how to do a Renaissance dance and be a part of the court dance in the afternoons. So there's lots of things like that take place. So again, it's a very interactive nature. But even those that, say if you don't get up on stage, after the show's over, you can sit down and have a conversation with the performer and say, how did you get into this? How did you learn it? Plus, the type of things that they're doing are more vaudevillian in nature. And so they're very unique type of entertainment realms. We have harpists, we have hammered dulcimer players, we have jugglers, we have acrobats, we have sword fighters, we have whip artists. In fact, one of our whip artists who's very famous, it's Adam the Whip Cracker, and he has to date set over 30 Guinness Book of World Records in whip artistry. And that is the fastest, the most number of whip cracks in a single minute, the fastest whip cracks, and, a number of things. And he's world renowned. He's been on major national television shows showcasing this talent and things like that. But we also have, again, these beautiful Renaissance dances that our cast members have studied and researched and teach you these dances that they haven't done in the real world in 500-600 years. It's just crazy. And so those are the kinds of things you get to experience when you come out.
But it's not just the performances, the artisans that are selling wares there, that kind of gets lost in the shuffle, but you can get some incredible things there.
Right. And that's true. We have 20 stages of entertainment that you can absolutely partake in, and they're just amazing. The artists are a whole nother world. We have an artisan marketplace that is made up of over 200 shops, and over 98% of our wares are handmade by the artisans themselves. And it's everything from, pottery to glassware to tapestries to clothing. I mean, just everything you can imagine, but it's all handmade wares. And they're also the type of art that you don't see everywhere else. And so you're very unique crafts that you're going to find out at the festival. The other part of that is we have artisans that are demonstrating these crafts, and many of them are age-old crafts that for the most part have been lost, and they keep this artistry alive. We have our full glass blowing booth. We have a metal forge. We have a blacksmith. We have a hammock weaver. We have a stone carver, and you actually can watch them do their work, and then you can actually buy a piece that you've seen made right before your eyes. It really is an amazing part of what we have going on.
It is super cool. Excuse me. And one of the things that I've also really admired is those who have gone year after year. They get into the spirit. Like the first year you might go just to go check it out. Like, I don't know what this is. We just moved here to the Metroplex. You might go check it out. But it's almost like if you love it the first time, you're like addicted to it the next time. Like you start thinking, oh, next year I'm going to wear this. Like people actually dress up for this and they get into it. So I think that's also notable, for first timers who might be going out there.
Right. And it's kind of both sides. There are people that love to dress up and we welcome that. We're a family friendly environment. So we ask that people keep that in mind. But, people embrace that, and we embrace that part of it. And when they do, they feel like they've become an immersive part, and they play with our cast members quite a bit and things like that. But then other people that don't care to dress up, that's fine too. Your jeans and t-shirts are more than welcome, but it's a great people watching spectacle. And to see the concepts and the work that goes into their costuming and their visions of what they want to be. And in fact, every weekend of our 8-week festival is themed differently. We have everything from like this weekend is kind of the travel back in time. It's our opening weekend. But then we have our Celtic weekend, and we have a Live the Fantasy weekend. And on the Live the Fantasy weekend, it runs the gamut. We can have fairies and trolls and things of that nature. But then on the other side of it, that's where our Game of Thrones people come in and our Star Trek people come in and things like that. In fact, we have stormtroopers in kilts all the time that come in, on various weekends. So again, they embrace it, and we embrace that. And so especially in this day and age of cosplay, that's become huge. And the fact that they can have a place where they can come and feel so welcome is a big part of the environment that they can experience here at Scarborough.
When do you start planning the next year's event?
In about 2 months, as soon as we wrap up this one. Yeah, we are just, it's a perpetual motion type thing. We have a full-time staff of only about 35 people. And we, keep the site. We have a 35-acre festival site that we maintain over, I think it's 250 buildings that we have on site. And so we have a full-time site crew, and we maintain that. But our operating staff is only about 10 people. And so we pull our resources. And so as soon as this one ends, we are immediately planning and getting ready for the next season.
How much, when you guys are planning for the following year, how much does pop culture and, like you said, Game of Thrones and some of these shows that we, might spark some ideas. How much does that give you guys a little creativity for building on?
Primarily into our theme weekends is where that comes into play. And like, for instance, we have our newest theme weekend is our Viking and Ale weekend. And that has a lot to do because the Viking culture and some of the shows that have come up here recently, that's become a hot button. And so the Viking weekend is a brand new one that we unveiled last year, and this will be the second annual one. And we just couldn't believe how many people came out in Viking, barbarian, things like that, costumes. And we have costume contests that help, again, invigorate that part of it. So that's where you see some of that influence coming in.
Let's not forget one of the most important parts of Scarborough Renaissance Festival, and that's the food. Gigantic turkey legs, for example.
Yes. The food at Scarborough is what we feel a step above traditional fair food. And you mentioned the turkey legs. We sell over 20 tons of turkey legs every festival season. So it's a lot of turkey legs. But on top of that, we have the largest food on a stick selection in Texas. If there's a way to put a food on a stick, we do it. I mean, we have everything from macaroni and cheese to chicken to steak to sausage to key lime pie on a stick. I mentioned macaroni and cheese. So just if it goes fruit, vegetables, all kinds of things. So if it can go on a stick, we put it on there. But in addition to that, we have our own bakery here on site. On festival days, they start baking at 4:00 in the morning so they can have goodies ready for the festival day. We have our own pasta shop that does different pasta creations every festival day. We have things like crab cakes and etouffee and stir fry, things like that you don't normally find at a festival. And we really pride ourselves on that. And, and on what we say, food that's fit for a king. But in addition to that, we also do a lot of really unique beverages. Anyone who's familiar with the Renaissance world, mead is a big thing. And mead is a honey wine. So for those over 21 who would like to partake in adult beverages, mead is a very unique beverage that you can partake in. And we've actually partnered with a brand new company this year, and it's from North Texas. They're called Texas Breaking Brew Meadery. And Breaking Brew Meadery is doing a custom Scarborough mead, but then they also have a chocolate cherry mead that we're unveiling at this festival this year. So a lot of, additions there. Then on top of that, we actually have our very own certified Cicerone, who is a beer expert, and we have a certified sommelier who is a wine expert. And both of them actually conduct beer and wine tastings every day of the festival as well. So there's a lot of, kind of these extra things you can do on top of your visit to Scarborough.
Super cool. Now, I was visiting your website. You guys are also hiring still, even though this is just right around the corner?
We are. As you know, I think most companies in the whole country, I think, have had major challenges with hiring. So yes, we are still hiring. We've got the majority of our positions filled, but we still have some gaps that we'd like to firm up. And so, yeah, if you're looking for a job, please give us, look on our website, do an application, give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about that as well.
What would be the requirements to be able to work with you guys? Now, is there some kind of training on how to be a cast member, or do you have your own wardrobe?
It really depends on which aspect of our company, because what you understand is we own and operate so much of, we're so multifaceted that the performing company is actually an audition-based group that starts in January. They've been rehearsing since February. So from a performing aspect, that there's really no way to get involved with that because you don't have that 8 week of intensive training. I mean, they do guerrilla theater. It is a very intensive training aspect. Where we have positions available, it's the operating part of the festival. Things like our front gate staff, our souvenir sales, our food service, things like that. That's where we hire the bulk of our people.
Elaine Thompson from the Scarborough Renaissance Festival, thank you for taking the time to chat with us.
Thank you so much, and we hope everybody comes out and see us every weekend now through Memorial Day.